Peace, love. They freed Little Durk mentally. Emotions made easy frees you mentally. Blackraps.com. Okay, listen, right? We're going to be talking about a lot. We're going to talk about Andre 3000, Young Thug, Little Durk, wanting negative, attracting positive, unlocking the left side to lead to unlocking the right, and how does self-love naturally attract others to love you. Uh, we're going to be everywhere at once, and I like it like that, right? So let's start with Little Durk. What are your thoughts on Little Durk and his impact on the music industry? Lil Durk has been amazing since I think his first song, don't quote me, called Right There, where he had the low cut with the waves, and he had the low cut with the waves and the Burberry shirt. And this is around the time where things were kind of popping off in relevance to Chief Keef and Lil Durk and Lil Reese. Lil Reese and Durk had just dropped Traffic. And Lil Jojo had dropped, BDK, Blase Blah, Long Live Lil Jojo. Shout outs, I think Swag De Niro, I think that's his brother. But ever since the DJ Academics days, Molly Girl, 52 Bars, Lil Durk has been an amazing artist and still is. We talk about claiming the identity in relevance to being the legendary voice of the streets. Pele Pele, Perky's Calling. I'm very inspired, like I rap. You know what I'm saying? I got an EP dropping soon called The Me in I. You'll love it. I got a song out called Pineal. But here's the idea. Durk has been amazing. Always looked out for his guys. And then there's that $1 Million Worth of Game interview with Rollo and Gilly, where he bought $1 million, and he was just in the trenches. He always gives you that vibe. So it's like he gives you that trench vibe while still being genuine and loving to who he is as a person. One of the most influential drill artists, also a drill rock star, and also still holding down the idea of love in relevance to India love, no pun intended. So Lil Durk is amazing. Now, as you know, Lil Durk is facing some BS in relevance to murder for hire, because apparently OTF Jam, I seen a picture of him eating McDonald's, and my boy, shout out to my boy Joe, he was saying that Joel was like, well, he snitched not even for a large fries. The reason why this situation is so funny, and let me tell you something, hard work creates good luck. So Durk is a very hard worker, so you can only imagine whether or not he'll be coming home or not, but I know for sure he's always going to be successful, because if you look at the work he's done, respect is built from achievements. Law of Human Nature, Robert Greene. So you can only imagine, but it is going to be very intense, because OTF Jam came home, and I could only imagine Durk's idea, where it's like, you came home, you did the time, when Jam get out that jam, I got him. 50K, you hear him put him in songs genuinely, so that means that Lil Durk has a liking genuinely and naturally for this guy Jam, OTF Jam. So it's the idea that I even seen a video when they was passing blunts, Jam didn't want to smoke. I know people, they assume probably that he ain't fucking with Durk. Everybody assumes everything. We live in the age of the internet. So much information. Shout out to Denzel Washington. Too much information. Put your phone down. Do something or watch shit like this. So, fuck, I get my foot right. Now, the idea is this, right? This situation may look bad, but we also had that situation with King Von and Lil Durk, and Durk still made it out of that. So we can't really count Durk out. So my thoughts on Little Durk is that he may be back. It's like 50-50. I don't feel like I don't feel like this situation can hold him down. And if it does, then that means it was meant to be. You never get what you want. You get what you are. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on Little Durk. Exceptional artist. Still listen to him. Timeless artist. Uh, Fuck yeah. And he got Twin in them. That song with him and Vaughn. Amazing, amazing artist. So that's my thoughts on Lil Durk and how has he impacted the music industry. I look at how a lot of artists were very inspired by Little Durk, even his ops. So he's one of the pioneers of drill. Chicago's kind of where it started, kinda. Not into debating if you feel otherwise. Yeah, you matter, right? Next question. How does unlocking the left side lead to unlocking the right side? Well, a lot of times we try to run away from negative. I noticed that. We try to run, we try to, and you've had this happen to you before where it's like you're trained, your brain has been trained to ignore the negative and only look forward to the positive. It's kind of the same idea as people only looking forward to win and not really to lose, when honestly speaking, both exist. So for me, it's about greeting your losses the same way you greet your wins, right? So with this idea, like for example, with me, I'm a negative person. I want to be negative because nobody wants to. So I like to flip the matrix. I want to be negative. And you never get what you want, you get what you are. Your spirit is naturally positive. There's no way to duck that. You feel me? Comment if you feel there's a way to duck it. Even comments on Lil Durk too. Let me know what you feel about him. And what was his impact on your life? And how do you transmute your right? Do you only focus on your right? Or do you unpack your left to unlock the other side? So when it comes to unpacking the left side, you have to understand that fear is false evidence appearing real. When you start to understand that, you start to seek the truth. You can't find the truth unless you unpack that false evidence. And that false evidence is the negativity. Negativity swears it knows it all. And it does, because that is the human side of you. Pessimism and negativity came from the human side of you, right? So you're learning to balance both sides. A lot of times, so first off, manifestation comes from detaching oneself to what they want to manifest. It happens a lot quicker. So if I make some coffee and leave it on the stove and I decide to go clean up my dog's puppy pad, magically the coffee will be done instantaneously because it's your attention. Men are not ruined by things, they're ruined by their perception. So if you're so focused on something, remember, you never get what you want, you only get what you are. So see it happening. Leave it alone. You'll get what you are. If you don't get that, that means that's probably what you wanted and it's not good for who you are. So, how does unlocking the left side lead to unlocking the right? Because you have to unpack the left. And usually that opens up the positive more. A lot of people are seeing the positive, but when they don't, they get hit with the worst first because that's the one that you decided to detach yourself from seeing. You ignore the worst and you end up manifesting the worst more because you detach yourself from it by default, tradition, whatever you do, right? You've gotten used to ignoring the negative. I want negative. When I walk outside, I want problems, I want static, I want the smoke. Mentally, I crash out. I'm already hitting people in my mind. You'll hear my music, that's the same idea. Because there has to be some type of freedom. So if doing it in physical aspects were causing your demise, your next step is to flip it. Do it mentally, and you'll feel it, and nobody will get hurt. But somebody did mentally. That's what you have to use your brain for. Men are not ruined by things, they're ruined by their perception of it. So yeah, unlocking, how does unlocking the left side lead to unlocking the right? It's just the idea of you unpacking it. That's how it leads it. That's how it leads to the right side. You have to unpack it, and it makes you more prepared for the worst, and you can actually enjoy the positive because you greeted the negative with the same understanding you greeted the positive. If you got a boy and a girl and you're a father or a mother, I want you to understand that it is very imperative that you love these two the same way you love them as individuals. Now, people will say, well, that's not possible. It is possible because you don't get what you want, you get what you are. Good habits breed good consequences. If you're trying to be that, you will attract that. The only way to attract that is with good habits, which lead to attracting good things, right? So there always has to be some type of balance. You can't just focus on the right and not focus on the left. You have to understand that the good is genuinely beautiful because bad exists. And bad is just an idea of this reality. You feel me? There's no good and bad upstairs in the duat. There's just you, right? Thus me kind of naming my EP the me in I. You'll see, that shit is beautiful. Okay, next question. How does Young Thug being free impact the music scene? I know a lot of you guys were very fooled by how Young Thug had used his sexuality, like the way he dressed. I can't speak for his sexuality, but the way he dressed kind of marketed him well, and it was very controversial. But he's really like that. And I say that from a space of I can read souls. Seems like he has that warrior energy and he's learning to understand integrity with reason, which only leads to transcending one's integrity to a spiritual aspect of integrity, takes the ego into the divine ego. So shout outs to Young Thug for being free. But also we talked about look back at the time, right? When Young Thug had first came in the industry and him and Lil Wayne was going at it, it was as if though Birdman was trying to create another Lil Wayne. Well, personal insecurities and things of that sort, I could only imagine how Wayne felt. But there will never be another Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is amazing. He's legendary. And there will never be another Young Thug. So Young Thug has been amazing since songs like Hookah, Pass Me the Hookah, Lifestyle, I think Check. He's had so many beautiful songs. I remember I was like, oh shit, when they had shot up Lil Wayne's tour bus, I was hoping that was a publicity stunt. But when the law gets involved, I guess it's not. I don't fucking know. But Young Thug is a marketing genius. even when he was wearing the dress, had a lot of people fooled because esoterically speaking, it doesn't seem like his spirit is what he's advertising. So therefore that balance, it goes right back to balance, like I said, left and right. Everybody is learning to balance that left and right. I think his left was the idea that people didn't think that a motherfucker with the name Young Thug and who he was in his videos and what he gave off uh, internally, he would be wearing a dress. He would be wearing that. But I've seen, like, it reminds me of this line by Uncle Murda. I'm so gangster, I could be blood and crip at the same time. And I understand that understanding because you could be so you can be anything. And it's not about being accepted, it's about accepting yourself, right? So yeah. Him being free, how does it affect the music scene? Listen, my boy Joel was going over. Plus, my boy Joel is very inspired by Young Thug, but also he's himself. So he's taken a version of Young Thug and created his own identity, genuinely. So shout outs to my boy Android Joel, amazing beat maker. Uh, Go follow him, genuinely Android 13, I believe. If not, I'll get that to you guys in the link. Uh, but how does him being free impact the music scene? Young Thug has his own sound. With these charges being dropped and him being in the media in relevance to YSL, YF and Lucci, and these constant funny aspects of Woody, his man's, not too sure if that's his man's anymore, but just the whole, even the whole Gunna situation, blase blah. I had did a video on Gunna a while back in relevance to what I don't even feel like saying he snitched because I read souls and I'm not getting that idea anymore. Maybe Gunna has accepted himself in so many different ways and he's putting in that shadow work, so shout outs to him. But never let people bring you down or create a narrative that you don't internally believe. So that's up to him, to each his own. But Young Thug has been in the limelight for positive and negatives, but like I said, unlocking the left to get to the right, and now he's free. So we'll get to hear some dope ass music from him, and he's a legend, or I should say, very unique artist when it comes to the music scene. Honestly speaking, bro, I don't even listen to Young Thug no more. I happen to listen to him because of my boy Joel playing him, and he had a beautiful album. But I'm not really a fan still. But I have been a fan, and his music I do consider timeless. All right. Okay. Why does wanting negative attract positive outcomes? The idea behind this is this. When you learn to embrace your negative, it creates a clearer path for your positive. A lot of times we can't receive positive because we're so busy ignoring negative. So it's like you live in this fantasy world. If you read the Kabbalion states, mastery does not consist of abnormal visions or fantasies, but it lies within transmuting low vibrations to high vibrations, constant up and down, right? It's the same idea when you talk about a relationship, right? You'll have the polar opposites, man and woman. I've been with my lady for 14 years. Beautiful baby boy on the way. Much health and love coming soon. Shout outs to my dog also. But one thing I've noticed is the more willing you are to polarize those two opposites, negative, at one point, like they'll tell you in the Kabbalion, they had masculine and feminine. At one point, they was going to call the masculine positive and the feminine negative, but they understood that the way people intellectualize things these days, that would have been like a timeless ignorant idea, I feel. Or maybe people still fuck with that idea. I don't give a fuck, I don't know, but you matter if you do. But it's polarization. You can't get one without the other. There's never a green light without a red. There's never a go without a stop. There's never cold without a hot. You have to understand that truth has two poles: absolute, which is internal truth, and relative, which is external truth. So there's always polarity, two sides, two poles, two aspects. And the reason why wanting negative, you're naturally a positive being. When you came into this world as an infant, as a newborn, 9 months out the coochie, right? You weren't really thinking about how anything negative. You weren't thinking about religion. You weren't thinking about any negative ideas. You got older because 7 is the age of reason. You get older and you start to see negativity from other people, and you're like, what the fuck? This shit is wild. And you learn through osmosis how to be this naturally. And I know I'm at a space where I'm and redoing and resetting the brainwashing. So I'm rewashing my brain, a little laundry, wrong. But that's the idea. So why does wanting negative attract positive outcomes? Because you're naturally positive and you're okay when you say, I want negative. The universe is naturally going to give you positive because magically that's what you want. That's what you're on. Everything goes from low to high, negative to positive. That's just the way it works. You can't, like I have this thing I say, like at my job, people will walk back in to go get something they forgot. And sometimes people get a little frantic because they have to change course because they forgot something in relevance to how they usually do their routine, the mundane. So they didn't meticulously do what they usually do, which is normal. Change is inevitable. Shout out to the Kabbalion. But I always say, you can't remember without forgetting. And the quicker you forget what you didn't remember is the quicker you get it. Honestly. So polarity, right? That's why, because of polarity. So understand that you endure, pity, then you embrace. But through the pity, you begin to hold yourself accountable. And now you can embrace what you've endured. It's time for you to embrace what you've endured. A lot of people endure a lot of negative, but don't get a chance to embrace it because they never hold themselves accountable for both poles. Hold yourself accountable. Why does Andre 3000 not have any motivation to create new hip hop or new music? I recently seen in an interview where Andre 3000 was asked this question and he said, listen, I don't really have any motive for it. Nothing out there has really given me that to do it. And I totally understand him. Like I was telling my boy, he was like, he heard one of my songs. I got a song called John Gotti, right? Just a little play on John Gotti and my interpretation of it, genuinely. And for me, Gotti, my name stands for genuinely aware with divine introspection. I don't play when it comes to rap because rap is very sacred to me, right? When I make music, I started making beautiful, beautiful music when I got to a space where I wasn't focused on the external aspects I created internally of how people viewed my music. I don't give a fuck. I make music to express myself, and I've always been finding myself creating music when I needed something to listen to get through a hard time. I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, Canarsie, also raised in Barbados. In Barbados, we went through that rough aspect of discipline. My aunt, I jumped through the window because honestly speaking, what the fuck am I using the door for when the window's closer? That's how I thought. And granddaddy, as he took his crackers and put it inside his tea, that's what they used to do back home, right? He was like, wow, I noticed that he didn't come through the door. little change. He went and told the person watching over me. We'll call her uh, Miss Blue. And Miss Blue, you know, Barbados is different. Miss Blue made me strip naked and I walked around, and I guess the punishment was embarrassment for me not to do that again. I don't talk to Miss Blue, and Miss Blue knows who she is. That shit was weird to me. I've learned to forgive and heal, but it's the idea that I didn't consider that discipline or a beautiful thought. So when she hits me up for, well, happy holidays, fuck you. Not in a bad way, just fuck you. Genuinely, it's just naturally that. You know what I'm saying? Because that was weird for me. And shout outs to her for looking after me, but I didn't really agree with certain methods. But I did have fun playing person, place, or thing. I remember Munchie had got beaten for stealing Coke and stuff like that. Some Coca-Cola or whatever the case is. But shout outs to Mrs. Blue. I'm healing. But also, you know, I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Never ran, never will go back, honestly speaking. You're supposed to look ahead, never look back. And if you do look back, learn from your look back to move forward and stay present. The streets were grimy, never attracted no bullshit, always attracted solid friendships. But it's the grittiness of it. Grew up in Canarsie also. I've seen people get shot in front of me. People spin back just to see if those people were still alive. And, you know, this guy on the floor asking me just to let his wife know, hey, listen, I'm going to make it, or whatever he was saying. Shout outs to that guy. Genuinely, I hope he did make it. But I've seen a lot of rough shit, and as we all. So, where was I getting to with that idea? But I understood that, let me just trail back over. I understand that me having a rough life, I needed music. Music was helpful to me. I've been making music since whenever the fuck I was making it. And for some reason, I just love music. It makes me feel amazing. I know how to harmonize my words, and expression is beautiful for me. I love to release and talk and be loquacious, if I should say, honestly. So I kind of get where Andre's coming from. When I kind of stopped thinking about the expectations, remember the expectations are illusions. It's not really real. You know, you have to look inside yourself and love yourself for who you are. And that is what creates the idea of people loving you. It's called mental telepathy. Check into it. If you know about it, comment, take notes, whatever the case may be. But mental telepathy. So I get where Andre is coming from. The more he finds himself is the more he expresses himself through that beautiful flute. I didn't sit around to hear the whole thing, but is it something I would listen to because the energy is genuine and genuinely real? Sure, it sounds better than a lot of you drill rappers. And by the way, I listen to drill rappers. Shout outs to the sweepers. Shout outs to the troopers. Shout outs to D-Thang. I kind of fucks with UGs just a little bit. Who else? Shaw G's, K Flock, Dougie B. Pray for Dougie B. Send gratitude, my hopes and loves to him. I love his music. Situations. His album was fucking fire. I hope he understands and knows that. Tell him for me. And comment Dougie B if you like his music. Any one of these rappers I mentioned. But even the sweepers, I got tired of hearing the angry music because I'm not an angry person. I'm a mixture of everything, and that's what I'm giving on this new EP I'm dropping, the Me in I. You start to see purgatory, heaven, hell, all states of mind at a balanced frequency, and when you hear it, you'll be like, oh shit. Like, I let my boy Joe hear it, and he's like, fuck, this shit is amazing. He's Italian. I let him hear John Gotti, and I could only imagine, but he's like, damn, the frequency, the delivery is amazing. And my boy he's from the hood genuinely, but he came out and moved past those stereotypes and those statistics. And he loves the music. Everybody loves my music. But the main reason why they love it is because I do. I let you hear a song and I'm sitting there bumping it on a regular from time to time on repeat. Certain songs I love, and all my music is amazing. I'm not just saying that. So when you kind of understand your craft from that space, you're not really focused on making music for people. You're focused on expression and expressing yourself. Music is just an outlet. So I don't think that we should limit Andre 3000 to who he was, but he's a little bit more limitless when we accept him for who he is. And shout outs to Erica Badu. You know, that's where I got the quote from. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. So I kind of understand where Andre 3000 is coming from. Everybody's so focused on his past. It's like you'll hear people talk about Lauryn Hill and say, oh, well, Lauryn Hill had miseducation. I've heard this before. And she didn't come out with nothing else. But you're not keeping up to date with what she's going through, her trials and her tribulations. You understand? You're so focused on, I want music, I want what I heard before. And this is why certain people can't grow, because you got to go left to go right. You have to understand the left to go right. This is kind of why I don't really vote. Uh, but I would love to. I would only you'll only catch me voting. Shout out to Denzel Washington for inspiring this. I keep seeing separate sides. The more divide and conquer for me mentally. This is all esoteric and figurative and metaphysical. But I would love to see both parties come together. And I think that might attract a lot of togetherness. How are we going to work together if you're constantly separating yourself from each other when we're human beings? I think, like Denzel said, and I'm going to paraphrase, I think a lot of relationships are built from engaging. So if we're constantly at it from a space of separation and we're using logic from a space of deception, because you see those commercials and you're like, well, my name is Tom Landy and I support this message. Hillary wears nothing but pantsuits. That's why we can't trust her. Listen, I don't trust motherfuckers that wear do-rags and they're bald. But that's not a reason to not like them. At the end of the day, you still gotta understand it. I don't trust motherfuckers that hop on the back, well, men hop on the back of a scooter when there's only a place for one, but yet I could only imagine a situation. I had a time where I had asked these guys, like, are you comfortable? Because I didn't want to make this weird. Like, are you guys comfortable? He said, yeah. And I said, wow. I guess it's just that I wouldn't be comfortable that way, and it's something that I wouldn't do, so I accepted that. Okay, next and last question. How does self-love naturally attract others to love you? It's the same thing I just said about the music. When you start to understand that loving yourself is what attracts love, you get to a space in time where you just focus on you. You know, loving my family is a primal thing. It's never duty driven. Like if you watch Fences, the play, all three, Denzel's, I forgot the other guy's name, but he's such a legend. Forgive me for that, just in case you feel away. You matter. And Fences, the movie, there's this idea where, what was I getting at? Question was, how does self-love naturally attract others? It was the idea in Fences, right, that they were speaking and he said, how come you don't like me? And bro was like, the character, the father was like, well, I'm here to it's my responsibility to provide for you. And I'm like, damn, he's intellectualizing the shit out of his love. like as if love is only built off being like providing, like just physical shit. And I don't think so, right? Love is way deeper than that. We're talking emotional support. We're talking a genuine support system from both sides. And this is what I mean by understanding the left to go right. I don't really think he understood his son, right? I think the first play he did, and he was kind of subconsciously given the vibe off that he loved them. But this macho, hyper masculine vibe, I'll speak, self love has helped me love my lady a lot better. I had a misconception and a miscarriage at one point, but we have a beautiful baby boy named Asani, which means intellect and wisdom. And I speak to him on a regular through my beautiful lady's stomach and through her. And I understand that as I love myself more and I self reflect and I become self aware of who I am, I begin to attract the love that I'm seeking. I begin to attract the friends and the brotherhoods that and the sisterhoods I'm looking for genuinely, because I had to learn to understand myself. So it seems as though law of attraction works like this with the mental telepathy. You have to love yourself first if you want to be loved. You have to love your passion first if you want people to love your passion. You have to love your YouTube channel first if you want people to love your YouTube channel. That creates more ideas in relevance to how you can create that from a space of starting with yourself. I had a friend of mine, right, and he was talking. He was like, he wants to ask this girl a question. Shout out to my boy Mark. And we got to this space where I like to go left to go right. So I'm like, he goes, well, I say actually, I go, you have to ask yourself the same question you're trying to ask her. That opens up the idea, like he says afterwards, he goes, maybe I'm learning to be a lot more vulnerable. And I think that we're learning to be a lot more vulnerable with ourselves because we keep intellectualizing the idea of though as though we have to love people to learn how to love them better, and we kind of forget about ourselves and our internal. So don't focus too much on your external. Focus on your internal. Don't focus too much on your relative. Focus on your absolute, right? And your relative will magically just mend itself together because that's how positivity works, right? Full circle. So learn to accept yourself, learn to love yourself. Let's wrap this up. And shout outs to Lil Durk, Young Thug, and Andre 3000, and Erica Badu, right? Shout outs to those musical artists that definitely inspire us to be better and be greater. Because I know for sure a lot of my music is inspired by even the drill artists. Sometimes they're too angry for me, or too much sex stuff and all this other bullshit. But they're finding themselves, and I support everybody finding themselves. Shout outs to Chef G. Shout outs to who else am I listening to sometimes? Or I look out for Shawnee Bin Laden. Beautiful, beautiful music, beautiful samples. Sleepy Hollow is dope too. Shout outs to all the Brooklyn artists. Much love, much peace, and shout outs to you for sticking around to learn how to unlock, excuse me, how to unpack your left so you can unlock your right. Much peace, much love. Appreciate you guys for 396 subscribers. We're consistently going up. Shout outs to all my clients at Emotions Made Easy. You guys pay me handsomely to use us as a coping mechanism, genuinely a healthy coping mechanism. And we help you understand yourself through mental telepathy. So shout outs to all the voice notes and the phone conversations. And shout outs to you guys for taking time out your busy life to find yourself, find your passion, because to be a better human, you have to learn to be a better spirit. And that comes by searching internally. Much love, much peace. Blackraps.com for Emotions Made Easy, beautiful talk therapy, fire safety made easy. Shout outs to the guys that passed the course using our study guides, and fire safety was made a lot easier for you. Much peace, much love. We're going up. Only way is up. But I'm open to fucking up. I'm open to making mistakes. Shit, I want to make mistakes. I want issues. I want problems because it is the quickest way to get to positive outcomes and be okay with uncertainty. Yeah. And take a deep breath through all things. You're gonna make it. There's no reason that you can't make it besides the ones you create. Your truth is the truth. So if you're attracting bad shit, you have to start to question your habits. Yeah? And also for you motherfuckers that love over talking people because you may be seeking attention and seeking attention, but also validation, please stop, take a moment, and self reflect. Because if you want people to understand you, you have to be receptive towards understanding them, mental telepathy. And to you motherfuckers sitting there listening to it and enabling that person and going through hardships, make sure you look inside yourself and ask who are you being that made you notice and acknowledge that type of trait. Much love, much peace. I love you guys and I appreciate you guys. EP dropping soon. The me and I, you're gonna love it. Appreciate you because I love it. Let's be great. Love.